Today's adventure brings us to Sunset Boulevard, to a very iconic Hollywood landmark. One that I have passed many, many times, but never properly sat foot. Located at 6671 as the address, the crossroads of the world. I've always enjoyed the backstory of this place. It's something that we're gonna dive right into the nooks and crannies. Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here. As always, I'm inviting you to join me. Shall you? Just a few feet away is this very impressive church building. And where this alley sits used to be an ivy-coated building that was an office of the property owner of the entire block. He spent his last moments right here, a crime that still to this day is unsolved. Transpiring in 1931, Charles H. Crawford and another man who were shot. That building was eventually demolished, making way 5 years later for this. In order to remove the memory of her tragic past, his wife Ella thought this would be more fitting. And we now have what some consider to be the world's first shopping center with a big boat in the courtyard. Let me rephrase that and clarify a little better. The world's first outdoor mall. There is so much more tucked away back here than you initially see from the main thoroughfare. This is way back behind the enclosed parking lot. The main premise behind it was that the ship was pulling into port, and on either side were these buildings themed to different countries, stretching all the way down. Stores on the bottom and office space on top. Each and every bottom level facade sold different items. Kind of think of it predating World Showcase at Epcot. More or less in the same vein as that. This would be the European Village setting. Both facing each other. This one lining up parallel with this other set of rooms. Incredible how tucked away and quiet this is back in here. You can see progress just there on the horizon. Brand new condos and apartments popping up everywhere. So peaceful back here. You almost don't feel like you're in the heart of Los Angeles and Hollywood with the hustle and bustle going to and fro. Even in Wishing Well, you can toss a coin in. Actually, it's used for a planner now, but I'm sure someone's tossed a coin in there at some point in their life. Could certainly do some thinking. Maybe even make some deals. Have some meetings. Wheeling and dealing. A lot of television and movie royalty have walked these very sidewalks over the decades. Some serious atmosphere and ambiance taking place. Don't think this bicycle's been ridden in quite some time. May just be placed there just to set the mood. You can see the tile work and the bricks from a simpler time. Hello, owls. On either side of a head. Can almost get lost in the details. Everywhere you stare is something different. In the center of the complex is this structure, which has had a variety of uses over the years. With its Arabic archways, it's very distinct. Check out this classic photo from a grand opening. They have the banner across the entry point, and the lights were on. As of right now, there is no illumination shining through that window. Whatever's behind there is not for retail use. Alice Cooper even used this spot for Muscle of Love cover. They were all just sprawled out right there on the ground. Huell Hauser filmed an episode here where he was just kind of roaming the premises, exploring, checking things out, and as the story goes, later in his life, he liked this place so much he came back and rented an office. You know who else did that? Alfred Hitchcock. Yes, he was here. And if he knew this place was still open today and accessible, Hitchcock, it would be proud. Standing in this spot way back then, if you had 15 extra cents, if you didn't feel like walking on your own accord, you could have taken a little buggy and they would have escorted you right there. I'm also noticing up here some signage that states Screen Actors Guild, which means it was located right here on this building to the right. Tucked away over here represents what you'd see in architecture of early America, also known as the Cape Cod buildings, with their very distinct roof lines and chimneys. And although these seats are probably not very comfortable, made of stone and rock, if they could talk, they'd most likely tell some interesting stories of years gone by. You also might recall where the staircase leads down into that door from LA Confidential. Danny DeVito spent a lot of time in that room, typing. With the illuminated neon of that sphere shining down upon him very prominently. A performance by a mariachi band here at address 1550. You can see the awning there and even the church behind it. This is what it looks like currently. No food being served, but you can still tell that's the same spot. A couple other movie locations I should mention towards the front of the boat. In that top room, Ford Fairlane, Andrew Dice Clay, that's where he was. That's where his office was located, and directly below him on the bottom floor, Demi Moore from Indecent Proposal. That's where she worked. Her desk would have been located behind that wall. And if I shift just a bit, Robert Redford, while waiting at a seat behind this glass, you can see this very fountain behind him as he's waiting patiently for Demi. This is the type of stuff you don't really see in this day and age too much anymore. This type of tile work. And I really love just the era and style of this handle. I get excited about the simple things. This is an antique and a relic right here for sure. Old Hollywood. From some promotional material back when it opened. These four lovely ladies are standing along a railing on the ledge. And that is the very ledge. Right there. After seeing all these areas representing different countries, the question has been answered. That's why it's called Crossroads of the World. Really does make traveling and commuting much easier when it's kind of all in the same little area, same square footage. I'm not really staying in the same decade as far as photographs go. I'm jumping all over the place and I apologize for that. I wanted to show these just to prove that at one point it really was a real beehive of activity out here. People used to dress a lot nicer and much more dapper back then. Example, these two ladies walking down this very pathway, down the brick. Some elements very storybook, fantasylandish in a lot of ways. Kind of like stepping into a fairy tale, children's book. I'm also noticing this very old McDonald's commercial. There's Ronald riding his bike right around the same area as that wishing well, right down this little pathway here. Old Ronnie. Can faintly hear the traffic, the horns, the yelling passerbyers. Just a short stone's throw away. Some hustle and bustle, but not in here. Very peaceful in here. It's like a whole different world. Pun intended. Pun very intended. A bygone era. With a shelf behind the glass, a display case for products for consumers to look out first and then purchase a letterbox for U.S. mail. And directly below that it states erected 1936 and the architect's name Robert V. Dira. Declared a historic and cultural monument, as it should be. This place will be around for many years to come for all to enjoy. The gates are open during the day. At night they're locked, but during daytime hours feel free to stop in and pay a visit, because there is a boatload of history to enjoy if you're into that sort of thing. And even if you're not, still an enjoyable walkthrough. And not too far from the Chinese Theater and other very popular Hollywood sites, tourist destinations in this neck of the woods. The flag is waving. However, the globe is not circulating. The earth up there is not rotating as I've seen in the past. Big Audio Dynamite dragged their entire drum kit and musical instruments right there above the signage at the base. Performed a music video. Where are you going, my beautiful friend? I'm not kidding. They were really all right up there behind that sign. True story. Remember that song? You can't forget that song. Exiting out the front and heading around to the back side of the establishment, you cannot gain an entry from this area. There is a fence up, but now that I'm back a little bit further, I was comparing some info I found, and right here on the left, this used to be a coffee shop and a bakery. So each morning you could get a little caffeine to start your day. In fact, here's another angle of it. Notice the neon signage still there after all these years. You've heard of the backside of water. Well, you know the rest. I do believe the lantern, well, it's basically just a spotlight, might still be operational up there. You can see the bulb and the little circular thing right there, and the lighthouse itself. This was recreated very meticulously in Central Florida for the opening of the 1989 theme park, Disney MGM Studios, and still resides there in its current incarnation, Disney's Hollywood Studios. It acts as a little gift shop where you can pick up your guide maps on your entryway into the park. Faintly hear the church bells. Traffic flow is disguising it quite a bit though. Listen. So whether you see this here or on the opposite coast, you can now say, hey, I know what that is. Sometimes I like to throw in little tie-ins that aren't vitally necessary, but do pertain to the subject matter. So I've driven across town. At the top of this hill is the property owner, Charles H. Crawford. As mentioned earlier, an unsolved mystery of the details of how he perished. May 20th, 1931. And if it wasn't for his passing, we might not have Crossroads of the World. Because his wife, in order to cleanse the memory and the relics of what remained from that horrible event, had the landscape changed forever. Her husband was a little easier to find. Took me quite a while before I saw Ella's headstone. Beloved mother, born in 1891 to 1953. Her idea still lives on to this very day, and hopefully for some time to come. That's going to do it for today. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. By doing so, helps keep you in the loop on future uploads. Here on this channel, take it a step further and ring that notification bell. And if you enjoyed this particular episode, give it a big thumbs up. Lets me know you care. See you in the next video. The vlog is over.